Hi y'all. I guess it's my turn to do the video. This is my second video I did, but everything is growing and changing. I decided to make a new one. We are on 1/6 of an acre here on our little homestead, and our front yard is tiered. So here we have the first tier where we have lots of comfrey that I love, and some fenugreek, and lots of big plants that I'm hoping will choke out four of my nemesis that live here. We have the foxtails, or whatever those things are called, the buttercups, ivy. Whoever planted the ivy here before us was a very silly person. And then the creeping carpet blackberry that produces 0 blackberry, but on the other hand produces a gazillion tiny little thorns and spreads like wildfire. Here I have my cardoon artichokes. We transplanted them from a different spot this year, so they look very pitiful, but I'm hoping by next year they'll be back at their beautiful selves. And there is indeed a little artichoke happening there. So we have ferns and whatever those are, and let's see what else. Lots of lemon balm, lots of buttercups, more of the cardoon artichokes, and you can see the artichoke babies are here. Cardoon artichokes are smaller than the standard globe artichokes, but in my opinion they are much more they're better, I think, tasting. They do take a little bit more work to get to the heart, but I think it's worth it. So lots of comfrey. We have our salmonberry, which looks a little pitiful this year. We didn't prune it as well as we wanted to. My son loves them, and so do the bees and the birds, so kind of plant them, and whoever gets the berries wins, but so be it. We have our potato patch over here, which looks incredibly pitiful this year because we planted them so late, but they will be a late fall harvest, which is fine. We've done potatoes here with addition of new wood chips and new soil for about 2 years now. This all used to be buttercups, and I got rid of buttercups, and now the potatoes kind of help me maintain, and that's my hope for the rest of that patch of land as I work hard to maintain that. On the other side we have the sidewalk, and I really want to eventually get rid of all the grass and plant a community garden where all of my leftover starts will go there for people to come and pick what they want. And then we'll walk here, and we're gonna go up the stairs. I have some roses. I use the petals for making soaps and salts and scrubs, and they also deter aphids and produce things to munch on, and something pretty for the pollinators and for us to enjoy. So walking up the stairs, I have a tier of garden right here that has my what is it called, rhubarb, which is having a difficult time this year. And then we come over here, and again, like, I love ferns, so I have ferns everywhere. We have a garden bed here with peas, onions, and rutabaga. These are from metalgardenbeds.com. We ordered a few of these beds this year because this patch just gets so weeded that despite our every effort to do anything, it's just weeds. By putting this here, I hope we can get some growing space without having to kill ourselves weeding the whole time. So lots of hope for this little patch to produce food. And more comfrey. So then we come here. I have pathetic looking little tomatoes here because these are my tomatoes that I salvaged that were all very sad. They were gonna either be tossed or put in here. I need to fertilize them with some bunny poop, but I haven't had a chance to do so yet. My red currants got devoured. The bottom looks okay, but the top got devoured by little currant caterpillars. We have a mulberry tree, and this is what a 2-year-old artichoke looks like, and I believe that's what it's supposed to look like. It's super sad, but it's true. We haven't done our weekly maintenance of this little patch, so it's going to be heavily weeded. It's got all of the above plus the morning glory of things I hate. So what we do is every 2 weeks we just weed whack, and because pulling the weeds just doesn't make any sense anymore. Goji berry. So we have 1, 2, and 3 gooseberries back there. An old kale plant, lacinato kale plant that I am letting go to seed so it can reseed itself. This is my kind of like also an area. I have borage and I have asparagus patch. My zucchini this year looks incredibly sad. I'm hoping, as you can see, it's in the shade. I'm gonna have to cut some of these comfreys down and just hope for the best that I get some zucchinis this year. I'm not planning on it, but if I get something, I'll be happy. And then here we come, and I have some winter squashes and very luscious buttercups in the background. This is our cherry tree. Around each tree we have comfrey planted. Now this tree I have to go and prune a lot of the comfrey because comfrey, as wonderful as it is, can indeed choke out your tree. You can see I have comfrey planted around every single tree I have because when comfrey dies down, it provides everything your tree will need to thrive. Bees love comfrey, and I don't know if you guys can see, but there's every little flower has bees and bumblebees, and everything is just so buzzing and fun, and they're everywhere. Little cherries. I have my pumpkin patch. Sad, but it's here. More comfrey, another cherry tree. This is the raspberry patch. It's intense this year. Again, lots of pollinators, lots of raspberry babies just needing some more sunshine to grow. This is kind of the eyesore of the garden, and it is a work in progress, and we're trying so hard to utilize the space without having to spend most of our life with a war on these plants. But it is what it is. So this is pretty intense work that we have been doing for the last 10 years since we bought the house. So now we go up the stairs into my front yard, my front yard. We call it our zone 1 because it is the closest to the house. And most of the things that you find here are medicinal, herbal, and edible. Everything except for the irises. So we have our daylilies, we have kiwi, the little hairless kiwi girl, and the boy is a little bit further. I have my I forget the name of that plant, yarrow, and some bunnies. I tried to make some art. My sister makes these beautiful tea kettles, Crafty Sisters. She did such a beautiful job for Mother's Day. And then my little chihuahua trying to get back in. I have some big boxes that I'm going to put down as cardboard for to try to get rid of some of the weeds. And basically everything here is mushrooms. Gotta have mushrooms in life. Herbs, mints, succulents. I have my bay tree that I absolutely adore. I have strawberries everywhere, bleeding hearts that are my favorite. Rosemary, lavender, lots of onions and oreganos and salad burnet and catnip for the cats, and let's see, I have a birdhouse here that has babies, and we've planted some flowers for them to kind of enjoy. We have more comfrey and more raspberries this way, blueberries, and persimmon tree that produces very plentifully but does not taste good, which is sad. On this side we have our mason bee house, and we actually just borrowed my sister's house to fill hers up because all of ours are full, and we want to make sure the bees have more room. We planted them some flowers which aren't doing all that hot. They have a water bath, they have soil, so they have lots of goodies to enjoy. This is our pea patch. The peas are beautiful, they're huge, they're massive. My kids are counting the minutes until the peas get ready. The peas are officially taller than I am, which is not much because I'm only 5 feet tall. So peas, and then here we have our peppers. So the theme of our garden, because we are in 1/6 of an acre and our tomatoes, is that we really over cram everything. It has worked for us because we are very vigilant about pruning all the unnecessary foliage, and our kids eat a lot of tomatoes. Our kids eat a lot of tomato sauce. Our kids can survive on tomato sauce if all else fails. So last year we did the same thing, and we raised 180 pounds of tomatoes that I weighed. We also snacked on tomatoes non-stop. So I was able to can 52 quarts of tomato sauce, so that way we would have one a week for dinners. So I'm hopeful that this year we can continue the trend. Here's our beautiful Japanese maple. The kids actually love this tree because this is their playhouse. They spend a lot of time under this tree. Here I have my more plum trees. I have my, what do you call it, herb garden. So I have lots of garlics. I have mints of different kinds. I have some plants that need to go into dirt and or bigger pots, which is kind of like the story of my life because it's a never-ending chore here. Different kinds of catnips, herbs, more flowers for the pollinators. So herbs, lemon verbena. Oh, I forget the name of this tree. It'll come to me. This is some early lettuces that I planted that I had in a greenhouse. We've been eating from this little patch for the last couple months. Strawberries. We have this little greenhouse. It was a very cheap little greenhouse that we bought in Kent. There's a whole store dedicated to these kind of greenhouses. It's, for what it is, you guys, it does an amazing job at keeping things warm. We use it mainly to store our pots over winter to make sure the roots don't get frozen. So if you have a lot of potted plants, it is advised that you bring them in to some kind of shelter during the times that it freezes. So here we have our strawberry patch, which is doing really well this year. I have no clue what I did, but I'm glad I did it, or didn't do. Some more herbal plants here. We have our very sophisticated and classy water feature, aka an old bathtub from one of our neighbors. And then we have our semi-aquatic plants here. I have yet to go and pull out all the dead foliage because, you know, no one has time. But I'm told, and this is, if they bloom, that means they are happy. And you can see all the blooms, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with that because otherwise I have nothing. So this is greenhouse number 2. This is the slightly better version of the little plastic greenhouse. This is a Harbor Freight cheapie that we've actually augmented because after buying it and feeling so good about ourselves, we read that it was kind of a piece of junk. So we use cinder blocks and big boards to kind of anchor it to the ground so it wouldn't be taken away with a windstorm. And we use different brackets to kind of make it a little more sturdy. I grow my cucumbers in greenhouse. I noticed they do the best. Looks like some of these guys need a little bit more water and a little bit more sun, less sun. I have also, let me get in here, some beans that are supposed to be super finicky. That I figured if I plant in the, oh, there's a little cucumber. If I plant it in the greenhouse and they do well with cucumbers, that they might have a chance. I have an eggplant there. I've been trying to grow eggplants for a long time, and I was able to do it once and got like 3 eggplants that were tiny, but they were mine, and ever since that I failed. So I'm trying to do it in the greenhouse. I have my Spanish lavender here, and we're officially in our backyard. And our backyard is all cement, and it's really messy because we have 4 kids, and our kids, well, our kids are kids. We decided to invest in these metal garden beds, and I'm very happy we did. Paul is actually going to put cold frames on top of them so we can have our greens during the colder months available to us without having to go very far. We have our rain barrel here. It's connected to this gutter. Excess goes into the gutter drain, and there's a hose. We can water our garden with it. So in this garden bed I have onions, and again, everything is like way overcrowded, but I pull the onions as I need them, leaving every other one intact so they can actually form into a bulb. I have my new kale here. I have kale pretty much anywhere and everywhere I can put it in here. Tatsoi mustard, so I'm kind of excited to collect mustard seeds. And then we have a patch over here. These are some pretty little carnations. This will be converted into our bunny area. You can see it's very shaded, and they don't like a lot of sun. In fact, they prefer cooler. They will do better in cooler weather than they do in heat. So we will put up a structure here. This used to be our mushroom patch, and when Charlie was born, which was about 4 years ago, we had such a productive mushroom patch here that we collected over 200 pounds of mushrooms, and mushrooms were delicious. They were garden giants. So this is our bunny hutch. This is an old pagoda hot tub. We have a sandbox for the kids. Everything is a mess because it's always the lowest priority. Some racks that need to go away. We did a study on metamorphosis, so we went and got some salamander eggs. So these guys have already gotten their little front legs, or whatever they're called, and once they turn into salamanders, we will take them back to the pond and release them. These are our bunnies. We have quite a few. They're meat bunnies and Angora bunny. They get a chance to come out and run around once in a while to give them a little more room, but bunnies are pretty solitary animals, and I've noticed that after being out for about 5 minutes, they just plop down and lay down. So kind of like, so be it. So going down, we have another one of those garden beds, and here we have some kind of a root vegetable, I don't know, mace, or matcha, however you say that, spinach, carrots. I just replanted this. This all was radishes that we've already consumed, beets, and I do succession planting. So I threw in some pretty plants in here to kind of encourage pollinators. Lettuces. I have a patch of beans here, and these are my sweet peppers. So back there I had my spicy peppers, and these are sweet peppers. If you grow them together, they will cross-pollinate, and they will actually all be spicy. So I have my nasturtiums here to kind of take the brunt of the aphids if we get the aphid infestation, and I have my serviceberry and some more herbs back there. So our backyard is all concrete, and we wanted to utilize it a little bit more, so we invested in these garden beds. But I'll be honest with you, I prefer putting things into dirt if I can, but again, like, options are limited in this space. We have our outdoor kitchen. I do a lot of my canning on this little stove. It was the best $139 investment from Costco we've ever made. We've got Paul's grandfather's picnic table and our fire pit. So everything is very do-it-yourself, poor man's budget. This is our chick brooder. As you can see, it's a big trough that we usually, and some building materials. So everything is always kind of like a work in project. Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Go ahead, change. We have our compost pile and a potato growing out of it. Everything from bedding from bunnies and from chicken bedding that we throw down here. If you dig in this area, you will find so many worms. Red worms, not blood worms, sorry, earthworms love bunny poo. So I contribute a lot of our success to our vegetable gardening to bunny poop and to also wood chipping the area, like Paul Gauchi in the Back to Eden. We have a Back to Eden garden here. Is another kind of an ugly corner of the area. Lots of garbage, but it has our second rain barrel because that's important to have water as much as you can. We have our chickens here. They still have their Christmas bow on, and we have our tomatillo patch and some safflowers. We have our beer garden, if you may. We have hops, and Paul makes his own beer. This is my biggest lemon balm patch. This is where all the lemon balm for the jelly comes from. Spearmint. This is our newest addition. This is the work in progress. This is going to be greenhouse number 3. This is going to be Big Mama greenhouse. This is a geodesic growing dome from Growing Spaces. It is my dream. So my dreams are coming true. This was our 10-year anniversary gift for us, and it's hopefully going to be done in time for fall planting, and it will house a lot of our plants and make a lot of food for us. We'll also have a big pond inside that one day we hope to turn into a aquaponics and grow our own fish. This is our compost pile. There used to be 2 more compartments, so we do the 3-compartment composting where we put everything into one and then we rotate it. It gets aerated and it gets moved, and the last compartment is what we use to fertilize our plants. This is the last part of the garden. We have our fig trees, and again you can see there's comfreys all over the fig trees. Eventually, once the dome is built, there's going to be a fence, and it's going to be very similar to like the chicken coop panels, because our grapes need something to climb on. We have grapes all over the periphery of the property, and sorry kitty. And we have more artichokes. These are the globe artichokes, so you can see the foliage is different and the artichokes themselves are bigger, and our kids love artichokes. Who knew? So we grow a lot of them. And that kind of concludes our little 1/6 of an acre. Little blueberry patch here that looks very pitiful. We moved it, and some volunteer, whatever, squash pumpkin thing that's going to happen. So that's it. That's it for us. This is little Otis. We love it. We work hard to maintain it. We grow most of our produce during the growing season and preserve produce for most of the off-season. We do resort to our CSA as well through the Helsing Junction CSA in Rochester. So we are working our buns off trying to make a sustainable, happy little homestead. Thanks for visiting my homestead.